Hello everybody, welcome to Chemistry 104, which is a general chemistry class at the University of Kentucky. My name is Steve Presnell. I will be your instructor for this course. So I want to do three things really quick in this video. The first thing I want to do is explain the design of Chemistry 104 compared to other general chemistry classes you could take at the University of Kentucky. The second thing I want to do is talk maybe a little bit about why some people have some trouble with chemistry. I'll give you my perspective on that. And then finally, I want to talk about something very important about the videos you'll be watching online. It's a very important detail that I need to tell you. So first, let me talk about how Chemistry 104, which is a general chemistry class, aligns with the other general chemistry classes you could take at this university. So there's sort of a traditional track of taking general chemistry, and so I have that here on the far left. And so you come in as a freshman and you start taking, say, a class in August, and so maybe the traditional track is what you want to do, and so if you do, you would take Chemistry 105, and so you would learn a lot of stuff through December. And so this is General Chemistry 1. And so then you're not quite done yet. You have to take General Chemistry 2, which starts in January and it ends in May. And so you cover a lot of material pretty quickly, and it takes you a year to do it. So about 10 years ago, the university set up a second track where you learn the same amount of material, but it's a little bit slower. So what you do here is, instead of entering in 105, you would say enter in 109. And so you would begin in August and you take 109. That would take you through December, but you cover about half of what you would cover in 105. It would be the first half. And so it's not called General Chemistry 1. This is General Chemistry 1A. And then you would continue on the next semester. This is Chemistry 110. And here you cover the other half of Chemistry 105. And so this is General Chemistry 1B. Now, if you decide to continue with that, you would jump into next General Chemistry 2, which is 107, and take that for a semester. And so to learn the same amount of material, instead of doing it over 1 year, which you do in the traditional track, you would learn it over more time, 1.5 years. And a lot of people prefer to do that. Okay, Chemistry 104, the class you're in, is a little bit different. So let me talk about the design of that class. So if you're in this class, here's the way I kind of think about it. Draw this up here. So you start out here and it's August, and you're taking 104. So this is Chem 104, and this is a general chemistry class. And then it ends, as you might expect, in December. So the question is, what do you cover? So what this class does, it covers the most important aspects of the traditional class that you would learn. So for example, one of the things that you learn pretty quickly in 105 and 109 is you learn something about matter, and importantly, about measurements, and how to do calculations. And so that's considered pretty important. And so we do cover that in 104, and we cover that in the same level of detail that you would cover that in these other classes. And then you go into other things. So for example, the next thing you would go into would be how atoms are designed, and also the periodic table. And so that's the next thing you would cover in 104. But then we skip some things that would normally be covered in 105 and 109. And so there are other things in 105 that we cover. But what happens is we start covering stuff that's normally covered not only in 105, but it's also covered in the other track in 110. So we cover those things. So again, we're covering highlights of what you would get in 105 or 109 and 110. But also, you cover a few things that you might get in 107. So one thing that you might get is something about equilibrium reactions. And another thing that we cover in 104 is some information about acids and bases. And so again, what 104 covers is mostly highlights from 105, which are 109, 110, and a few points in 107. Now, we do this in one semester, and so if you wanted to continue in this track, what you can do is you can take a second course, which is Chemistry 108. And so 108 is highlights of organic chemistry and biochemistry. And so that would be sort of the second half of the course. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is talk a little bit about why I think chemistry can be difficult for so many people. So I took chemistry many, many years ago, and I think it was pretty tough for me to learn at first. And looking back, I think the main reason why it was so difficult for me to learn was when I was listening to the teacher or learning from the textbook, it almost seemed like they were just throwing out facts and they weren't really related to one another. And maybe even worse, there was some math involved. And so it seemed like they were just pulling pieces out of the air and connecting them. And so I can see that being pretty frustrating. And so you can sort of think of chemistry compared to other sciences in a spectrum. So here is chemistry. I'll write this as C. And so C, chemistry, is a very descriptive science. Again, you're just sort of pulling facts from the air, and there's also some math in it. Now, how does that compare to other sciences? Well, if you like less descriptive science and science that's more based on math, then you want to go into a physics class. You use a fair amount of math to understand the principles of nature and physics, and it's a little bit less descriptive. On the other hand, if you like very descriptive facts and you don't have to deal with math, then you want to maybe take a biology class. But again, with chemistry, it's fairly descriptive. We're pulling things, it might seem like we're pulling things out of the air, and there's some math involved. And so all I can say is, at first it might be frustrating, but eventually what will happen is the facts will just become part of your common knowledge. And then you'll start getting connections between these facts. And then as we add more information, that will add on to the structure that we have in the class of those facts. So I urge you just to be a little bit patient with that and do the best you can. There are a lot of resources to help you, and I'll talk about that in class. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is something very important. In this class, you're going to be watching a lot of videos online. They're called PlayPosit videos. And so I want to bring up a little detail that's important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the computer and I'm going to bring up a video really quick and show you something that's very important. So I'm going to go over here and just give me a moment while I bring this up. So here is the second video you'll be watching in Chemistry 104. It's about classifying matter by composition. And so on this first slide, I sort of connect where these things I'm going to be talking about in the video are in your book, but there's something very important I need to show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video. So here I am, blabbing away about chemistry, blah, 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 blah. Looks like I'm talking about composition. Just hold on a second. Blah, blah. Yeah, all right, okay. And then, hold on just a second. Just almost there. Boom, okay. So the first note you see in the video says something important. You see, on that slide, I tell you to look in certain chapters of an older book that we use, in particular for some of the earlier classes that I taught, which were Chemistry 109, 110. But now we got a new book that we use for Chemistry 104. The first author is Smith. And so here I'm telling you, these are the sections in the book that relate to what I'm going to talk about. So please look for that in all the PlayPosit videos that you'll be watching. Okay, so thank you for listening to all that, and we look forward to seeing you in class.